So the culture followed the NBA. But tectonic events were approaching, and the Nets would be at the epicenter. At the White House, Donald Trump was asked if the team, having procured exclusive access to elusive coronavirus testing, represented a class of the rich and famous that went to the front of the line. "Perhaps that's been the story of life," the president said. After yet another video of the death of yet another unarmed black man, George Floyd, went viral for all the wrong reasons, Brooklyn's arena became the most recognizable gathering place in a new civil rights movement sprouting quickly across the globe. Basketball managed, in a miracle of leadership and science, to revive an entertainment economy that the virus had disposed of, as the NBA sequestered thousands of people in Disney World to play and protest at the same time. By then, the Nets roster included even more radical disruptors than when the year-long season began. This book was reported contemporaneously, revealing how everyone from LeBron James and James Harden to shifty billionaires and calamity-stricken Brooklynites were forced to adapt as frantically as the world did. In my own shadow beat, I attended all the Nets games at Barclays Center, a mile from my house and from the penthouses of many players themselves, and I witnessed the mid-practice moments that make a team coalesce or combust. I traveled from Washington to San Francisco, from Staples Center in Los Angeles to NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago, conducting more than 400 interviews with players who shaped the season and with generational thought leaders in every facet of the game: Hall of Famers, All-Stars, owners, executives, coaches, doctors, agents, influencers, politicians, activists, friends, and family. When the Utah Jazz star Rudy Gobert's single test result forced a nation to confront a pandemic, my mother worried that I had COVID-19, since I'd been the only reporter walking the court with players at Jazz practice in Manhattan the week before. One day during the season, when hoops culture never stopped, I'd be meditating with a Nets star on video chat. Another, I'd be marching through the streets of Brooklyn with his teammate. I would interview a player about the virus, then he would go viral for contracting it. I would chat with a player about his or her ideas for activism in private. Many major sources spoke freely, very freely, so long as they weren't quoted, only for a politician to chastise the NBA in public for being too political. Such were the upended and even more influential lives of athletes in 2020. I have taken the players at their word, piecing together details, conversations, and memories in fast-forward and rewind, accompanied by previously unpublished documents and audio, as well as years' worth of reporting by the many dedicated NBA journalists cited in the endnotes. But this is the player's story, devoid of scoop hunting while full of fresh hell. As KD and I discussed in the locker room back in March, his power moves from Silicon Valley to Hollywood were part of a vanguard in the footprints of LeBron. And we agreed that Kyrie, his friend and fellow Nets superstar, was grossly misunderstood, perhaps more than any athlete since Colin Kaepernick, while remaining highly secretive. An untold story on purpose, in an age of living extremely online. Kyrie called himself a prisoner of his own fame. Another teammate called him the enigma of the century. In one of our final exchanges, Kyrie sent along a 67-page Supreme Court ruling on indigenous land rights and encouraged me to keep the truth alive. KD peered up from his seat, past the beat writers, to the other corner of the locker room, where his teammates Garrett Temple and Wilson Chandler talked politics throughout the election year. We recalled how, 2 seasons earlier, Garrett had found himself in the middle of a police-killing protest that shut down an NBA arena, and how many players on this team in particular had, before they all came together in Brooklyn, experienced the cross-pollination of basketball with the American scene, a decade-long season in bloom right as the plague and a worldwide resistance against racism and the cops began to spread. I told KD about my experience overseeing an investigation of every police killing in America before I started covering sports as an outsider on the inside, and lamented how the killing hadn't stopped. "No," he said, "and it won't." But Kevin Durant was busy preparing to get back in the gym with his teammates during the off-season.